Amazon encourages stupid ideas. You don't believe me? Feel free to check out their flying warehouse, their defense system to protect drones against bow and arrow, or their underwater fulfillment center. They have patents for all three. And these are not the only ones either. There are entire articles written that list out all of the crazy ideas Amazon is continuously investing into. As insane as some of these patents sound, what if I told you that this strategy is not only genius, but that it's also one of the leading causes to Amazon's ever-increasing world domination? But before I get ahead of myself, we first have to go back and learn about Bezos' mentality and his business strategy for Amazon in order to understand why he would sink thousands of hours into developing some of these crazy concepts. Obviously, Bezos has to be different from your average CEO since, he only created one of the biggest and most powerful companies of all time. But what really sets Bezos apart from all the other executives and founders out there is his willingness to take big risks and accept failure in pursuit of something great. The average CEO, for example, would most likely not pull the trigger on a potentially big decision for their company if the chance of success is less than 50%. These big, established corporations choose to play it safe and ride the wave of what they've already done out of fear of coming out with a bad idea, alienating stockholders, and cannibalizing current business. Compare this to Bezos, who, in his first annual letter to Amazon, said, "Given a 10% chance of 100 times payout, you should take that bet every time." Or, in another annual letter when he said, "Amazon is the best place in the world to fail." What Bezos accepts that some of these other CEOs don't is that great success can only come with great innovation. And great innovation requires experimentation and just as great of a risk. To experiment and innovate by its nature is to risk coming out with a bad idea. If you know the outcome to an experiment before you do it, it's not an experiment. But that's okay, because when that one good idea comes along, you have the power to disrupt industries and take your company to the top. That's the way Bezos thinks, and he's built Amazon's business strategy around that principle. Okay, great. So now you know that Bezos is riskier than most other CEOs out there. But I'm sure you're still wondering why he's spending time and money creating concepts for floating and underwater warehouses. Well, because it's central to Bezos' and Amazon's decision-making process. Because Bezos is such a risk taker and believes in constant innovation, Amazon is always making decisions on how to innovate next. And since they're always making these non-stop decisions, Amazon needs a way to organize and filter them to determine which ones they should go for and which ones they shouldn't. According to Bezos himself, in an interview he did with Business Insider, the way Amazon does this is by splitting up all the decisions they make into two types, Type 1 and Type 2. Type 1 decisions are huge, irreversible decisions that signal the future of the company, whereas Type 2 decisions are smaller, reversible decisions that can be easily gotten rid of if they are not working. So, for example, a Type 1 decision would look something like implementing a long-term strategy for your business and spending millions of dollars ahead of time to invest in assets in order to use them in 5+ years. Whereas a Type 2 decision would be something with a lot less weight, for example, like testing a new wording scheme for one of your product lines. The problem with most big companies, according to Bezos, is that they treat almost all decisions with the weight and the carefulness of the Type 1 decision-making process when they should apply the Type 2 mindset and just let loose a little to experiment with new ideas and strategies. This unwillingness to experiment and potentially fail with Type 2 decisions to Bezos is what holds so many companies back and is one of the main causes for their eventual decline. As you can imagine then, Amazon's bread and butter must be these Type 2 experiments. The key to their innovation strategy is to go all in with these types of decisions, no matter how ridiculous they may sound. You want to design a patent for a robotic cage that transports warehouse workers? Sure, that's not inhumane at all, go for it. Oh, you want to create a skyscraper-sized beehive for delivery drones? Sure, go right ahead. Since Type 2 experiments and decisions can be so easily reversed, to Bezos, it only makes sense to say yes to as many of them he and his team can come up with. Even if 90% of them are ridiculous and bound to fail, the few that do work more than pay for the dumb ones. In other words, for every 9 worker cages, they come up with 1 Amazon Prime. And this is not even mentioning all of the other benefits that come with experimenting with these dumb ideas. For one, since Amazon can just pull the plug on these Type 2 decisions the moment the idea does not pan out, it makes them a pretty cheap way to build Amazon's image as an innovation-leading company. These dumb, borderline batshit crazy ideas are not stupid. They're bold and ambitious. They sell it so hard to give shareholders something exciting to invest in as they become part of this greater adventure into the unknown. And most importantly, it desensitizes Amazon shareholders to failure. Other companies are so scared to experiment and fail, in part because of the inevitable reaction of shareholders backing out, causing a big devaluation in the company and now much less capital to work with. Now, imagine if every time your company failed or made a mistake, the investors didn't really care that much. Instead, they expect it since your company is known for experimenting and innovating. What was once a company's biggest fear has turned into Amazon's greatest strength. They can pretty much do whatever they want without worry that their stock price is going to drop at the next open. This is a ridiculously huge advantage they have over their competition, since they can just run circles around them as they get to throw shit at the wall to see what sticks without any repercussion or blowback. What's crazy too is that I feel like this advantage doesn't even get covered as much as it should. I mean, yeah, everyone knows about how they've invested into infrastructure and Amazon Prime to get you things cheaper and faster, but not everyone is aware that they can get away with things that their competition simply can't. Seriously, if Walmart tried attempting only a quarter of the half-baked ideas Amazon comes out with, they would see a huge drop in support and investment dollars. It gives Amazon the ability to stare their competition in the face while they experiment freely on how they're gonna crush them, all while knowing that they can't do the same. It's borderline undefeatable. I mean, you've got to give credit where credit is due. Bezos has brilliantly flipped the narrative by making investors expect failure, liberating them from that pressure to always be successful, and therefore giving them some breathing room to try out unorthodox ideas and strategies. Even if Amazon fails from time to time, that's okay because the shareholders are part of this journey to creating the biggest company the world has ever seen. That's how Amazon can get away with some of the wackiest ideas ever brought forth by a company, and it's genius. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more cool case studies like this one. And seriously, thank you all for watching, it really does mean a lot. Catch you in the next one, peace.